So lately we've been talking about how to do graphing in a coordinate plane and how in the last video we talked about how to graph a line using a table. Today what we're going to talk about is slope. Slope tells us how quickly a line is rising or falling. Alright, so basically what this means is it's talking about the vertical change, this red line here, over the horizontal change, this blue line here, which is commonly talked about as rise over run. So you're rising and then you're running. Okay? So that's the official definition of what slope is. And we can use this slope to write out what a line is and figure out um, different things about that line. All right, so we can actually classify slope in 4 different ways. It can be positive if it's going up. It can be negative if it's going down. 0 if it is horizontal, and undefined if it is vertical. All right, these are very important to commit to memory because if you are solving for slope and your line is positive, but you solve it and you get a negative slope, you probably did something wrong in your calculations. So it's just a really good way to double check yourself. All right. So in order to do this, we can actually write our slope out as a fraction or a whole number oftentimes. All right. So we can just look here real quick. We have 5 different lines. Okay. And we have some different slopes down here. So I can actually use this to uh, classify. I'm going to do a really easy ones first. So we know that our undefined line is going to be our horizontal one right here. Okay. We also know that our vertical line is going to have a slope of 0. Now, for these other lines, we're going to figure out the rise over the run. Okay. So if we start, if you see this little purple dot here, okay, we can actually say, okay, I'm going to go up 1, 2. All right, so my rise is 2, and my run is 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's where we're going to get the 2 over 3. All right, now if we go over here, we can again look at our first purple dot, and we can say, okay, well, we're rising 1, 2. All right, and we're running again 1, 2, 3. Okay, and for whatever reason, I don't have another one, another symbol. Okay, fraction written out. All right, now if you look at this line is a negative, so automatically you know that there's going to be a negative in front of your slope. So you're actually, instead of rising, you're falling, but you're rising negative. So you're going negative. So you're going -1, but then you're going positive. So then you're going to go positive 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this case, our slope for this line is going to be -1/4. All right. So you can use that to easily figure out your slope. You just have to count and make sure that you're remembering when is rise and when is run and when it's negative and when it's positive. All right. Now, oftentimes what's going to happen is it's going to actually ask you to find the slope between 2 points, but they're not going to show you a pretty graph like this. So we actually have a formula to help you figure that out. So we have the slope formula, which given any 2 points on a line, x1 and y1, and x2 and y2, we can actually subtract y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. It is very, very, very important that you always keep the y's on top and the x's on the bottom and that you stay consistent. And you'll see what I mean in this next example. So I have find the slope of the lines that passes through the points -2, 1 and 3, 7. So I'm going to concentrate on my y's first for the top. So I'm going to take my 7 and I'm going to subtract it from 1. Okay? Now what I mean by being consistent is that now I would not go, okay, now I'm going to take -2 and subtract it from 3. I need to keep it consistent. If I start with this one first, I have to start with this one first. Then I'm going to do 3 minus -2. So 7 minus 1 is 6. 3 minus -2, if I leave, change opposite because it is subtraction, I will then have 6/5. And I can actually leave it as an improper fraction because by doing that, it actually makes rising and running a lot easier than turning it into a mixed number. All right. All right, so I know I just threw a lot of information at you about slope, but this is very important information that you understand, and we will practice it a lot tomorrow. Just make sure that you remember to think about which way your line is going, whether it's positive, negative, 0, or undefined, and whether or not you are staying consistent. All right, and I'm just going to show you real quick. If I were to do it the other way, if I were to start with my 1 first, this first, I could do 1 minus 7 all over -2. Again, being consistent, -3. Well, 1 minus 7 is -6 over -2 plus -3 is -5. Well, with a negative and a negative over each other, it will be a positive 6/5. Okay, so if you can notice that these two are the same, just as long as you're consistent, it truly doesn't matter which one you start with. Okay, all right. Come to class with any questions you have tomorrow.